Today is March the 19th. How can we prepare for Jesus' second coming? Let's find out together as we read Matthew chapter 25. Today, reading through the Bible in a year, I'd like you to start in Matthew 24:37. That's where we left off in Matthew. Read to the end of that chapter, then read all of chapter 25. Now, just to remind you, we're looking at what's called the Little Apocalypse. It's the place where Jesus talks about his own second coming. He describes it, and he tells his disciples what they need to do to prepare for his second coming. In 24:37, Jesus looks back at the flood, and he said the people who underwent the flood didn't know when it was coming. Then Jesus talks about a good servant and a wicked servant. The good servant, when his master leaves on a business trip, he doesn't know when he's going to come back, so he stays constantly prepared. The wicked servant, he just breaks out the kegger and starts to party. He doesn't know when the master's coming back either. The master finds one partying, he finds the other one faithful. Jesus says, first of all, as far as preparing for his second coming, we can never know when. Anytime you have someone tell you Jesus is coming this year or the next year, you can sit back and say, I don't think so. Jesus said we'll never know when. We can guess. And there are plenty of guesses out there, including guesses in my lifetime, 1984. Then that was put off to 1990. Then 2012, amazingly not because of Scripture, but because of a truncated calendar in the Mayan Empire. All kinds of people will tell you what they think about when the end of the world is coming, when Jesus' second coming is. But Jesus himself said, don't even try to guess. Just be ready. The second thing Jesus talks about, chapter 25, from verses 1 to 13, he gives a parable of 10 bridesmaids. They're also called the 10 virgins, 5 wise and 5 foolish. The difference? The foolish were not fully prepared. The groom delayed in coming. The bridesmen were to receive him. Night came, they lit their lamps. The foolish virgins didn't bring extra oil for their lamps. The wise virgins did. And when the wick burned down in the oil, the wise virgins simply poured more oil in the lamp, and their lamp kept burning. What Jesus is telling us here is, be prepared. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're prepared at whatever time he comes. For us, that means be his follower, accept what he has done for you. The third thing that he says, he gives a parable of 3 servants. A master leaves, he gives one servant 5 bags of silver, one 2 and one bag. Very similar to another parable that Jesus has told before. When the master returns, the one with 5, the one with 2, they've invested their money and they've made more for their master. They give it back to the master. The master says, you keep the money. That is now for you. The one who had received 1 hid it away. He didn't use what God had given him. The theme, the meaning, the lesson of this parable is to be diligent, be faithful. Use what God has given you to do what he's called you to do. And at the very end, we have the final judgment where he separates the sheep and the goats. To one side, to the sheep, he says, you fed me, you gave me water, you visited me, you clothed me. They said, when? We don't remember that. And Jesus says, if you did it to the least of these, my children, you did it to me. To the other side, he said, I was hungry and you didn't give me any food. I was thirsty, you didn't give me any drink. I was naked, you didn't give me any clothes. I was imprisoned, you never came to see me. They said, Lord, when? He said, if you do it to the least of these, or don't do it to the least of these, you haven't done it to me. Here Jesus is saying, take care of the little things. A little thing like giving someone a glass of water. A little thing like providing food for a hungry person. Being prepared for Jesus' second coming is not about huge, massive acts of obedience. It's about being consistently faithful in doing the little things every day of our life. How do we prepare for the second coming? Simply by being obedient, by doing what we know Jesus wants us to do every day of our life. You do the little things. When he comes, he'll take care of the big things. Like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you used to listen to it. Tomorrow, we'll answer the question, will Jesus judge me?